Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to today's session. How are you guys doing? All excited for the festive season? I hope you guys can hear me. My audio is fine, right?
Yes, Soumya. It's completely fine. You can begin, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ritik. All right, let me see today's session. Just a second, I'll share the screen. All right, I hope you guys can see my screen. Let me open the whiteboard also. And let's have our online Java compiler ready. Okay, cool. ठीक है, let's not waste any more time and let's now get started. We have already waited for 6 minutes now. Okay, so the topic for today's discussion is object oriented. Hey guys, can you hear me? I think I just got disconnected for a bit. Can you confirm if you can hear me? Okay, cool. Okay, I thought I just got disconnected. Okay. So, you guys would have had your object oriented programming session for JavaScript. Okay. And over there, I believe you would have talked about the concept of class and object, right? So, what I'll do is that, are you guys clear with the concept of class and object at least? Yes or no? So, according to that, I'll structure the course. Okay. All right. So, talking about the agenda for today's session, first we will talk about object oriented programming in Java. Okay, I'm sure all of you would be knowing what is object oriented programming, guys. What is it? Anybody in the chat? What is object oriented programming? Okay, let me write the agenda, and by the time, let's see if anybody answers. So, yeah, like I was telling, first we will talk about object oriented programming in Java. Then we'll talk about object oriented concepts. Okay, this is very important. This point is absolutely important. In this, we'll talk about some pillars of object oriented programming like abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation. Okay, these are the OOP concepts that we will be covering. Apart from that, we will also see advantages of OOP. Okay, that why you should use it and everything. Agenda clear, everybody? Yes, correct. OOP focuses on objects and not on functions, structuring the code through classes and objects to avoid code repeatedness. Okay, good, good. All right. So I see you guys know what is OOP. Okay, so I'll just quickly touch up upon that. So OOP is object oriented programming. Okay, it is a way of programming. It is a style of writing your code. Okay, so for example, there is procedure oriented programming. There is function oriented programming. Say for function oriented programming, functions are the core thing. Okay, functions are the most important thing. Similarly, for the procedure oriented or object oriented, any other, like, any other type of language, there are, Ritik, do you have a point? Ritik? Oh, okay, let me mute Ritik. I guess yeah, okay. All right. Sorry for that, guys. Okay. So object oriented programming is just a style of programming. Okay. Now, in object oriented programming, objects are our main entity. Okay. Main thing that is there in your program. We structure our program in such a way so that object and classes, like, we structure our program via objects and classes. Okay. So when it comes to object oriented programming, the first and foremost thing that I want to clarify, I'm not sure the degree of clarification you have on this, but I discussed it in the previous class also. I'll just quickly touch up upon that because these are some very basic concepts and are very important. All right. So let's first see class versus object. So if you guys remember in the previous class, I had given you a example of when an apartment is made. Okay, by apartment I mean a building which is having a lot of flats. Okay, this is what I mean by apartment. Now, what I had mentioned is that what happens is that the builder makes a blueprint of one flat, right? It doesn't make blueprint for all the flats. It makes a blueprint for one flat. So, for the people who are not sure about the difference between flat and apartment, so apartment is a collection of flat. Okay, so this is apartment. This entire thing is apartment, and this one thing is a flat. Okay, so what the builder does is that it makes the blueprint of one flat. Okay, so it'll say that, like, maybe here is your door of entrance, and here is a room, and here is kitchen and something. Okay, so a blueprint kind of thing is made, and what happens is that whichever flat needs to be created, it is created from this blueprint. Okay, this much clear, everybody? So this blueprint over here, it is having some specifications, right? It is having, say, like, number of bedrooms. Okay. So in this blueprint, if there are three bedrooms, so this flat will also have three bedrooms, right? Or say a number of balcony or size of a room. So whatever property this blueprint is having, this flat will the flat will also have, right? So this blueprint that you are seeing, think of it like a class. Okay, this is a class, and when I say that object is an instance of a class, so see, when it comes to interviews, they especially in the IT industry, they do not care that whether you know the definition or you don't know the definition. Okay, they want to know whether you know what you are telling. Okay, so just memorizing the definition is not important, understanding it is important. So it is said that object is an instance of a class. So what is it? Say this is the class, and this flat is an object. Okay, so this is made from this. Okay, this is derived from this flat is derived, this is built on top of this blueprint. So when I say an object is and this flat, okay, think of this flat as object. So when I say that this flat is an object of this class, so all the properties, all the methods which are there in this class, it will be there in the object also, right? All of you getting it? Okay, great. So this is what is the difference between class and object. Okay, this example is very important for you to understand. Okay, now I'll give you one more example, and through that example, we will be covering the other concepts in this session. Okay, so if I give you a simpler example, let's take consider that somebody invented a car. Okay, and what they said is that a vehicle that can move, okay, has four wheels, has seats, okay, has a steering wheel, can stop, etc. Okay, can accelerate. So they made a list of properties, okay? So the list of specification, and what they did is that anything which fitted into this list, they said that it is a car, right? So somebody who invented the car, they said ki okay, if there is an object which is having these properties, we can call it a car, right? That is how we identify things as well, right? So how do you identify that there is a car on the road? You know how a car looks. You know what are the features of a car, and if you see a object which has those features, then we tell that it is a car, right? So this car, think of it like the person who invented the car. He said that these things will happen, okay? Now what happened that say Maruti came, okay, Maruti, yeah, the company Maruti, okay, the Maruti Suzuki company, and they said ki we will make a car, say Maruti made Alto. So this car can be considered as a class, and this Alto can be considered as an object, right? And all these properties that this car is having, this object is also having. Are you getting it? Now again, say a Ford came, okay, the company Ford, and then they thought that let's make a car. So Ford made Fiesta. So they won't go and define what is a car from the scratch. The definition of a car is already there. They will just make their own version of the car. Okay, so they are just going to make this object. All right, is going to be an object. So when it comes to a car, do you see it has basically got two things? Okay, so a class has got two things, attributes and methods. What are attributes? The properties of a class. So for example, has four wheels, has a seat, has a steering wheel. These are the properties, okay, attributes. And these things like can move, can stop, can accelerate, these are the methods, okay. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now, the company that made car, they said ki, let's have very simple properties. Okay. So let's say that they said that company, this car which has been created, it can have a bunch of things. Okay. So first, a car can have a color, a car can have a size. Okay. The and whatever, blah blah. Okay. Some extra, some more properties. Now, when Alto came and it launched the first Alto car, they decided that what is going to be their color, okay, the color of their model. So what they did is that they did not, Alto did not create a concept of color from the scratch, nothing like that. This car class, this is a class, okay. This class had already said that the car will have a color, it will have a size, and blah blah. So what Alto did is that Alto just defined these properties according to itself. Okay. So say the first model ever that was launched of Alto. So that was maybe of silver color. Okay. So what they did is that color should be silver, size, say it is a hatchback. Okay. So it is small. Okay. Now when Ford Fiesta came, so they said कि ठीक है, let's have the color say red. Okay, I don't know what was their launch color. And size, Fiesta is a sedan, so say it is a big car. Okay, so are you getting this difference? This car is a kind of blueprint. Okay, this is a class, and these cars, the specific cars which are being created, these are the objects. Got it? So this definition, not definition, I wouldn't call it a definition, but this concept is very important that you understand what is the difference between class and object. Okay, just the definition wouldn't do. Okay. Now, in your material, you have this like what is an object. So it is said that objects are instances of a class. I am not covering the theory because it is there and you can read it and you can memorize it. I want to cover the concept. So let's learn about objects. Okay, we will use the same car example going forward. I hope everybody is comfortable with it. with this example. Okay, I have come to my online IDE again. Over here, I will be running some programs, and it'll be good if you guys could also run. Okay, let me see. There's a question like key will be same, but values can be different. Yeah. So Zishan, what you are telling key, that is more of a property than a key. Okay, that's more of a property. Okay. So consider this is our class. Okay, over here it is written main. I guess we cannot change the name of the class. Let me change. It won't run, I guess. Yeah, it won't run. Okay, no problem. The name of my class is main, but consider that it is a car. Okay, so if this is a car, what are the properties that it can have? Tell me some properties that I could add over here. Mention some properties. Okay, let me zoom in. I hope this is fine. Okay, drive type. And let's have some simple properties. I am not aware what is drive. Yeah, sunroof. Okay, maybe we can have sunroof or engine type, whatever. Okay, very very good examples. Okay, so all of you guys are getting it. Okay, for starters, let's have the only property which is color of a car. Okay, so let's say string color. So notice I created an instance variable. I created an instance variable. It is a global variable. All right. Now, how to create an object? So I told that how do you create an object? So when you have to create an object, this is the syntax. You have to write the name of the class. Okay, class name. Then you have to write your object name. Then you put a equal to. You write new, and then the class name. Okay, that is how you create an object. Okay. So let's create an object over here. So what should I write over here to create an object using this? Can you tell me? Using this, what should I write over here in my program to create an object? Correct. Main OB is equal to new main. It's just that M will be capital because Java is case sensitive, right? So what I'll do is that let me remove this main OB OB1. Let me call it OB1 or let me call it alto. Okay, say this is alto is equal to new main. Let me just write car over here. It'll be easier for you and then I'll replace it. Okay. So this is my car class. It is having a property called color. And when I'm creating this object alto, it is of a new car. Okay. Alto is a new car type. Now this I've created. Clear? I hope things are clear with the code. I just did a temporary change. With this, the online code will not work. So let me put it back to main. But wherever you are seeing main, just assume that it is car. Okay. So yeah, I have created auto. Then what I can do is that I can put a color to it. Okay. So because alto is an object of this main class. Okay. Think of main like car. I'm repeating again. Object is an instance object. Sorry, alto is an instance. It is an object of this main class of this car class. So it will also have this property color, right? So how can I access the color of alto? I can do like this, or let me do like this. Consider that every car's color is say white. Okay. So when I've created this object, now what happened, this instance of the class got created and this object also got all the properties of from the above class. Okay. So if I do a print, let me show you, system.out.print, and I do alto.color. Let's see what do we get. Oh, didn't it run? Oh, just a second. Let me just. Okay. Yeah. So it printed white, right? Alto.color is white. This is what it printed. This is what we were looking for. And yeah, this is how it is. Did you guys get it? Everybody, any questions in this very simple program that I've written? So what are objects? Objects are instances of a class, okay, which are created from a class. I created a structure of the class, the main class, and when I created a alto object from that class, it got all the properties which were there in the class. Okay, so it's like this. Think of object like this. All right. Now it's that it's not necessary that you can only have one object. You can create multiple objects. All right. So say that we do not put color over here because every color will not have the same color. Okay. So what I can do over here is I can do alto dot color is equal to say white. Oh, great. Thank you, Rosine. This is very helpful. Let me use this because with proper class name it will be better. Great. Okay. Let me just paste this code. Thank you, Rosine. Okay. So let me run it. Yeah, this is much better than that. Okay. Let me zoom. Oh, okay. Car, car. Okay. So see, I created and I got this, I added this. Now I can create another car. Say I can create Fiesta is equal to new car. Now, when I'm creating this, suppose I give a default of red, okay, and let me just run it. So if you overwrite it, it's going to be overwritten. Otherwise, whatever is the default, that is the value that you will get, okay? And yeah, let me do ln. I'll do fiesta dot color. Let's see. Semicolon, yeah. So it's red, right? I can now change. So suppose I want to change it. Fiesta dot color is equal to say silver. And suppose I want to add one more, okay? Fiesta dot wheel type, okay? Say it is alloy wheel. Let's see what happens. Oh, sorry. So see, when I added the color property, it ran successfully. But when I added the wheel property, it is giving me this error, right? It is telling that cannot find the symbol. Why? Because this wheel type is not defined in the car, right? It is not defined in the car. Say that builder has made a plan of the flat, and so the builder has added kitchen, the builder has added bedroom. So you can tell that, this is how my bedroom should be, this is how my kitchen should be. You cannot say that this is how my helipad should be, right? You will not be having a helipad inside your house. So that is what the properties that are there of the class objects get that property. Okay. So because this property was not there in that class, that is why we tried putting this property inside that object and we got this error. Okay. So with this example, what I wanted to show is that you can create more than one object. This is how you create this object, and object gets the properties which are already defined in the class. You can as well modify those properties according to the object. Okay, I hope everybody is clear till here. Okay, now what are classes? Classes are also like, think of classes like something very bigger from which objects are being created. Okay, these are the blueprints from which objects are created. And in a lot of places you will also see that they write that classes is a collection of objects. So over here if you see that there are two objects, okay, so we cannot say that class is just about collection of object. That is not what it is. Class is having object, class is having other things as well. Okay, so class is the blueprint from which objects are created. Now, let's see how you create a class. So that is how you create a class. You write a public modifier, you write the class name. So this is public, or it can be default. Like if you do not write anything, it becomes default. Then there is this class, this is the keyword, and then you write the name of the class. By convention, what we do is that the name of the class should always begin with a capital letter. Okay, and whatever is so then the brackets of the class starts, and whatever is between the bracket of the class, that is called the body of the class. Just like you have it in method, right? So whatever is inside the method, that is called the body of the method. Similarly, whatever is there inside the class, that is called the body of the class. Okay, so this is about class and objects. Now let us get started with OOP concepts. So the first concept that we will be talking about is abstraction. Okay, this is the first concept that we'll talk about. So, what I am thinking is that what I will be doing, I will be giving you a real life example of abstraction. Okay, that some example that you see in your everyday life. Then I'll give you a code example of abstraction, and then I'll show you. Okay, on the IDE. Okay, so let's think of it like this. Consider that you are driving a car, okay, and you have to take a right turn. So you just turn your steering wheel, right, and your car turns right. So but when you turn your steering wheel, there's so many things which should be happening, right? So many levers which would be which were being pulled, or something would have been happening, which would be turning the axle, the wheel is turning, and eventually your car is turning, right? A lot of things are happening in the background, correct? But do you get to see those things? Do the car makers expose you to the mechanism that's happening? No, right? They only give you the steering wheel. Okay, so can I say that the car makers, the manufacturer of the car, they hide the unnecessary detail? So for a person like you who is driving a car, you don't need to know, or maybe a person like me, okay, I just want to drive a car. So I don't need to know that when I'm turning the steering wheel, what all is happening mechanically. I don't want to know that, right? I don't need to know that. I just want to turn the car. So, what the car manufacturers do is that they have hidden all the internal things that are happening, and they have just given us a steering wheel that, this is what it is. This is the important thing. Rest everything is not important for you to turn the car. Okay. So, this, what I said, is a real life example of abstraction. So, what is abstraction? Abstraction is just a way in which you display only the information which is needed and hide the unnecessary information. Just like how I told you, right? That was an example of abstraction. Clear? These definitions are very important, like these concepts of abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance, and everything. Okay. Now let us see how it happens in code. So, in code, abstraction is achieved via two ways. Okay. So, there are two things which give you abstraction. Both of them are kind of interlinked, but yeah. So, one is abstract class, and another is abstract method. Okay. First, let's try to understand abstract method, and then I'll move to abstract class. So, what is abstract method? Uh, Before I tell you what is abstract method, can you tell me what is the difference between method definition and method declaration? Anybody, what is the difference between method declaration and method definition? Yeah, we can say that. Yep, correct. Okay. So suppose I have a method like this: public void stop, right? I have got a method like this. And then suppose this method is doing all the, it's just printing stop. Okay. So what's happening is that this part, okay, this part, this is called the declaration of the method. We are just telling that, we are just giving the signature of the method. Okay. So we are telling that no parameters are being accepted, this is the return type, this is the scope of the method, and so on, right? And this part is the definition of the method. Okay. So what are abstract methods? Abstract methods are methods in which you give the declaration but you do not give the definition. Okay. Making sense? So it is a method with declaration but without, yeah, we can say empty method. Okay. Got it? Clear? I'll show you how is it written, but on a high level, is it clear? Anmol, could you please rephrase your question? I couldn't get your question. Your question is method defined in class definition is and method used in object is declaration. I don't think so, Anmol. Like if I can get, if I can get what you're telling, so I don't think so. Yeah, sure. I can repeat abstraction. So what is abstract method is that abstract method, it has declaration of the method, but it does not have definition of the method. Okay, but no definition. So what does this mean? That the body of the method is empty. Okay, there is nothing in the body of the method. Clear? So how do you create these methods? So for example, there is a class, say there is a class called shape. All right, there is a class called shape. This class shape has got a method which is draw. Okay, so say it is public, mm, yeah, public void draw. Okay, this is this method, public void draw. Now your shape can be of any type, right? Like your car could be of any type, it could be Alto, it could be Fiesta, it could be Swift Desire, whatever, right? Car could be of any type. Similarly, your shape could be of any type. It could be a circle, it could be a say it could be whatever, right? It could be whatever, circle, triangle, square, whatever. Now you cannot have a generic draw method, right? You cannot have a general draw method, because if it is a circle you have to draw a circle, if it is a square you have to draw a square, so on, right? So in those cases what we say is that hey, we are creating a class, we are, we are telling the methods which are allowed, but we are not defining the method. Okay, so they'll say that we are not defining the method, so you define the method. Whichever class, okay, will be using this will be defining the method. Getting all of you? This is an abstract method. There is this declaration but there is no definition. And whenever you create abstract method, you have to write the abstract keyword over here. Okay, abstract keyword is important. Got it? I'm going to come back to abstraction. I'll show you the code of abstraction. But before that, I actually want to cover inheritance. That is why I'm just skipping code of abstraction, but then I'm going to come back to abstraction. Okay. Let's talk about inheritance. I'll give you an example of inheritance with this shape, okay? And then we'll come back to it, okay? So, inheritance. Inheritance. What do you guys understand by inheritance in general? Uh, do you hear this term generally, like outside programming? Exactly. Passing over traits, right? Passing over properties. So, for example, we hear this so many times, right? So, this person inherited the property of his father, right? This person has inherited a lot of wealth from his forefathers, and so on, right? So, what is inheritance? It just means that passing on from parent to child. Child inherits the property of parent. Got it? Clear? So, this is what inheritance is. Okay, inheritance is just a way using which one object acquires or inherits another object's properties. So, consider that one object or class, whatever. Okay, let's look at it like that. So, say that you have a class. Let's take this example of shape. Okay, or let's take the example of animal. Okay, class animal. We have a class animal. Now the animal has some properties, okay, like int number of legs, okay, or int color, sorry, string color. And then it also has some methods, okay. So for example, one method could be public void sound. So what sound does this animal make? All right. Now this is one class that we have created. Now when I say that you have to reuse this class, okay, inheritance is used for inheritance comes into the picture when you want to reuse. So see, this animal class has already made a lot of things, okay, this animal class is already having a lot of properties. Now what you can do is that when you want to create a dog, okay, when you create a dog, so can I say dog is a type of animal only, right? So dog will also have these properties, the number of legs, color, and the sound that the dog makes. So what I can do is that I can create. So if I wanted these properties in my dog class also, what would I have to do? I would have to add these properties, right? But say that 50 years down the line, some new traits come in an animal. Okay, so consider the animals start having two tails or whatever. Okay, so then I don't want to change all the types of animals, right? So I don't want to change it for dog, for cat, for donkey, for lion, everything. Okay, so what I will do is that instead of writing all of this again, what I'll do, I'll create a class dog and I'll do extends animal. When I do something like this, so what happens, even if you don't write anything over here, like of course you'll be writing your main method, but even if you don't write anything over here in the dog class, the dog class will have all the properties of the animal class. Okay, are you getting on a higher level? I'll write the code and I'll show you, but are you getting the concept of inheritance? Okay, feel free to let me know if you want me to slow down or whatever. Okay, ठीक है, proceeding. Um, just a second. So over here, can't we reduce the size of this output? ठीक है, no problem. Okay, so what I'm doing is that I am creating a public class animal. This animal class is having properties, okay, like string color. Let's just now think of color, okay. Let's not think of any other property. and say it only has this property. Now if you create or maybe a string type say is it a pet animal or is it a like domestic animal or a wild animal, okay, type. Now if I create a class dog, so can I say dog will also have these properties because dog is also an animal, right? So if I want these two properties, the color and type property inside my dog class, the one way that I can do is that I can copy these properties in my dog, right? But then there will be two places where you'll have to update. Okay, consider that some change has happened. Okay, so you'll have to update in the animal class also. You'll have to update in the dog class also, and say that you created more classes like cats, lions, tigers. Okay, so you'll have to update in all of these classes. So what we did is that instead of creating a class, a standalone class, let's inherit this animal class. Okay, so how do you inherit an animal class? So if I write something like this, class dog extends animal, so I am inheriting this animal class. Got it? I am inheriting this animal class. Now what I can do is that over here, suppose I have a main method, public static void main, and maybe I can write this as well. Okay. And say I create a object of the dog class. Dog d1 is equal to new dog. Okay. Consider that my default, and yeah, one more thing. What I can do is that now you tell me, can I do something like this? D1 dot type. Can I do something like this? Yes, Chandni, we can add more properties in the dog class. Can I do something like this? Right? I can do. So maybe let me say domestic and system dot out dot println, and yeah, let me just print d1 dot type. Let's run and let's see what happens. Oh, what is it telling? Public. Oh, let me just remove public from here. Yeah, so I got domestic. Okay, now consider I try adding a type somewhat like this, d1 dot breed, whatever abc breed I put. Okay, do you think this will work? Can I add property over here? Okay, let me show you. This will not work. Why didn't it work? Because you cannot add property to one object. Okay, you have to add property to your class. Remember, these properties that I've added, this is to the animal class. So if there is some property like breed which you want to add specifically to your dog class, you will have to add over here. Okay, so you will have to do string breed. Okay, and now if I do, it will run successfully. See, it ran successfully. Okay. So why did I show you this? So see, you did not define type. Did you define type anywhere in the doc class? Did you define the property type? No. But how did it get? It got it from the animal class. And why did it get? Because it is extending the animal class. So what inheritance means is that, so this animal over here, this is called the parent class, and this dog over here is called the child class. Okay. So whenever a child class inherits the parent class, all the properties that the child class is having, it gets inherited. Okay. So the child gets all the properties of the parent class. Clear? Is inheritance clear? Any questions? Okay. Now consider you wanted to create a cat class. Okay. And over here, I can have public static void name string args. Say I'll say cat c is equal to new cat. Okay, and then I can print system dot out, or oh yeah, or let me say cat dot color is equal to white. And then I print this. What is the issue? Just a second. This should have I so see ideally oh yeah, no, we cannot have multiple main methods because it doesn't know from where to start execution, right? So it will start from this only. In one single file, we cannot have it. This is the problem. Okay, we should not have it. But did you get this one? Did you get this one? Okay, Ishwar has a question why we have main method within the child. So Ishwar, if I did not have main method over here, I would have had main method over here. Okay, say inside animal. But animal wouldn't be able to access dogs. Okay, animal wouldn't be able to access dog. Parent cannot access the child properties, but child can access the parent properties. And I wanted to play around with the properties. That is why I've added the main method over here. Got it? And the child is where the objects are going to be created. So that is why we put our main method over here. Okay. Ishwar, can we have multiple main methods for many classes? For one class, there will be only one main method. For several classes, you can have several main methods. However, when you code on an online compiler, I don't know how their directory, the file is saved. So it doesn't allow you to have, but in general also, in one file, you cannot have more than one main method. Okay? You should have only one main method in one file. Got it? Okay. Now coming back to what I was telling you about abstract. So say over here, you create a method. So public abstract void sound. But you don't know that who will be, extend. This is called extending. Okay, who will be extending this class? So what you do? Yes, Ishwar, you can inherit parent methods also. That is what I was telling, right? Property and method both get inherited. Okay, both of them get inherited. So I have created an abstract class over here. I do not know that what is the sound that it will happen. Okay. So what I can do over here is that let me show you. Say that I did not create it abstract. Okay. I will not create it abstract right now because I want to show you something. Let's try one thing. Let's see what do we get. I am going to delete the other things. Okay. I've created an object of the dog class and I'm trying to access the sound method from it. Oh, okay. So see, this method got executed, right? But you did not have this method in this class. It was there in the parent class. So it got inherited. Okay. So methods also get inherited. Now coming back to the abstract code that I had left. So see, with abstract code, what is happening? Say I don't know that what is the sound of this method, what is the sound of the animals that will be extending my class. So I will just make this method abstract. What abstract means is that hey, there is a method. Okay, there is this method. This class has this functionality, but I'm just not defining it. Okay, abstract means is that my animal class has this functionality sound, but I'm not defining it because and I'm making it abstract, which means that the classes which will be extending it, the classes that will be inheriting it, they will be defining it. Okay, so if you have to define this method over here, what you'll do is that you will do public void sound and system dot out dot println bark. Now let's run and see. Abstract methods cannot have body. Oh, okay. I don't have to put this also. Yeah. So see, this brings me to the one more thing that I was telling. Over here, I was telling that abstraction is done in two ways: abstract method and abstract class. Okay. I hope everybody has got abstract method. This over here. So I wanted to actually teach you inheritance and abstraction together because individually they will not make sense. So this thing, okay, this is one abstract method. Now in a class, if there is at least one, okay, if there is at least one abstract method, the entire class becomes abstract. Clear? If there is one abstract method, at least one abstract method in a class, the entire class becomes abstract. So you have to write that over here. You have to write abstract class animal. Now if I run it, it will work fine. See, this method got executed. Clear, everybody? Any questions? Yes, no? What do you want me to repeat, Chandini? Uh, I assume you want me to repeat the last thing. So what I was telling is that this animal class, it is having one abstract method, right? No, Ishwar, that's not correct. So see, this animal class is having this abstract method. So in a class, if there is at least one abstract method, the entire class becomes abstract. Okay. So consider that this is an abstract method, and there could have been a non-abstract method also. Okay. So say it is public void print system dot out dot println, and it says hello. Okay. Now, this class is having one abstract method and it is having another non abstract method. Still, because this class has one abstract method, this class becomes abstract. Got it? And that is why we have to write the abstract keyword over here. If we don't write the abstract keyword over here, let me run and show you. So, this will give you error. Okay. Now, over here, if I add the abstract method, it will run fine. Got it? Great. So, just a quick recap of what I was telling. Abstraction is, hiding the definition, only giving the declaration, right? It's like that. There's no definition, there is only declaration. And there are two aspects in abstraction. One is abstract class, another is abstract method. So, abstract method is any method which is having, sorry, abstraction means, like showing the necessary things and hiding the unnecessary details which are required. Now, abstraction can be done into abstraction needs two things. So, one abstraction can be done via class and method. Okay. So, abstract methods, what are these methods? The methods which have a declaration but they do not have a definition. Okay. Their body is empty, they do not have a body. And what is abstract class? So, abstract class, any class that has at least one abstract method is called an abstract class. Okay. Now, talking about inheritance, inheritance is nothing but reusing. Okay, inheritance is mostly used for reusing. So, for example, you have some properties over here with the parent. Instead of copying those properties in the child, what you can do is that you can just inherit. Okay, you can just use the extends keyword, which is used for inheritance, and with this extends keyword, the child class will just inherit the parent class. Okay, so all the properties that the parent class is having, properties and the method that comes to the child class. Okay, so for example, this code that I have written over here, if I do d1.print, this will also work. So this print method I have not defined over here uh, in this dog class, but I have it in my animal class, so that is why it is working. Okay. Now, one more thing that I have to discuss about inheritance is types of inheritance. So I hope all of you are clear with the concept of parent class and child class. So this animal over here is my parent class and dog over here is my child class. Okay. The class that extends this is also called base class. The parent class is also called base class. Let me write over here. So inheritance क्या है? Parent to child. All right. This parent class is also called base class, and this child class is also called derived class. Okay. So let's see types of inheritance. So the first type of inheritance is single inheritance. इसमें क्या होता है कि there is one parent class and one child class. Got it? So for example, like there is animal and dog is extending from animal. Okay? This is single inheritance. Everybody clear? There is one parent class, there is one child class, and the child class is inheriting properties. Okay? This is single. Then there is this another thing which is multi level. Let's talk about that first. Multi level inheritance में क्या होता है? There is parent. Okay, so child is inheriting from parent and grandchild is inheriting from child. Okay, this is a multi level of inheritance. So for example, say that there are living organisms, okay, or living beings. Now, animal is a type of living being. It can breathe, right? It has all the properties of a living being. And then there is dog. Clear? So say that you have a class for living beings, and that class is being extended by animal, and an animal class is being extended by dog. How do you write for this? You would have something like this. You will have a class living being. Okay. इसमें there will be some properties. I'm not adding the properties. Now this animal class will extend this living being class. Okay, so it will say extends living being. Okay, so let me have this property over here. Okay, boolean. I guess it's small. Boolean breeds, which is true. Okay. Now, because this animal is having this, okay, it is extending this, so animal will also have an access to this property, and this dog is extending animal. So, dog will have access to all the properties of the animal and all the properties of living beings also. Okay, got it? Think of it like in natural, like the real life, right? Dog has all the properties of animal and is also a living being, right? So, it has all the properties of living being also. So it is multi-level inheritance. Okay. Now, another type of inheritance is hierarchical. Hierarchical inheritance. What happens in this is in hierarchical inheritance, there is one parent and it is having two children. Child one, child two. So, हमारे example में we could have one class, say animal, the base class. One child class could be dog, another child class could be cat. Okay, clear with hierarchical inheritance? And the last type of inheritance is hybrid inheritance. What happens in hybrid inheritance is that hybrid inheritance is a mixture of, so in hybrid inheritance, you can have single, like actually if you have multi-level, so you won't have single, but you get it right. Single, multi-level plus hierarchical. Okay, you can have inheritance in any way. Got it? So say it can happen like this, that there is class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, class 6, and there is class 7. Got it? So this over here is my multi-level inheritance. This is hierarchical, and this is single. Got it? Types of inheritance clear, everybody? Yeah, in hierarchical, you can have grandchild also. So you can have like this. So like the tree can be any of any depth. So maybe you can have two grandchildren, dog one, dog two. Got it? This thing is called hierarchical, like one parent and two children. This thing is called multi-level, like from parent to child to grandchild. And then this thing is called single, like one relation, parent to child. And combination of all of this is called a hybrid. I hope it's clear. Okay, let's have a quick 10-minute break over here, and let's meet sharp at 9:16, not putting a timer or anything. Let's meet sharp at 9:16. I am pausing the session over here. We'll come back and we'll talk about polymorphism and encapsulation. Okay, so yeah, see you in 10 minutes. All right, I hope you guys are back. Should we get started? Okay, let's get started. Before I proceed, I want to understand if class, object, inheritance, abstraction is clear to everybody. Cool, cool. Okay, awesome. So let's start another topic. The next OOP concept is polymorphism. First, I'll give you a real life example. Okay. So if I give you my example, so when I'm taking your class, okay, I behave in a certain way. And when I'm with my parents, I behave in a certain way. When I'm with my friends, I behave in a certain way. And when I'm with my colleagues at office, I behave in a certain way, right? The way I am, like the way I am over here at AlmaBetter when I'm teaching, I won't be like that with my friends, right? So, in this scenario, which I explained, so do you realize that the person is same? It's me. I am just behaving differently in different scenarios. Okay. For you also, you would be behaving different with your teachers or with your superiors. You would be behaving different with your friends. You would be behaving different with your siblings, different with your family members, different with your relatives, right? So you as a person, the person is same, the object is same, but how it behaves depends on some external factors, right? On the scenario. Clear? Okay. So, this is what is polymorphism. So, poly means several, okay? Poly means many. Morph means form, okay? So, one object having multiple forms, okay? That is how the word polymorphism has come. So, according to polymorphism, what happens is that um, it just refers to a process using which a single action can be performed in different ways. All right. So when we talk about polymorphism, let me erase this funny drawing. And yeah. So when it comes to programming, polymorphism means a process by which a single action can be performed in several ways. All right, this is what is meant by polymorphism. Okay, now coming back. There are two types of polymorphism. All right, so one is known as compile time polymorphism, and another is known as runtime polymorphism. Okay, there, so basically polymorphism happens in two places. Compile, when it is being compiled, when your program is being compiled, that is one place where polymorphism could happen. Another place is runtime. Okay, when your program is being run, that is one place where polymorphism could happen. Compile time polymorphism is also called static polymorphism, and runtime polymorphism is also called dynamic polymorphism. Okay, theory clear, everybody? Let me now start giving you examples. Let's start with compile time polymorphism. How is compile time polymorphism achieved? Compile time polymorphism is achieved by a concept called overloading. Okay. So, say in a class, this is one class that you have in this class only. Okay. Say you have a method called sound. Okay. Then you have another method, public void sound, but it also accepts a message. Okay. Or I guess the better example would be like this. Say you have got a class, public mathematics. Okay. Now, sorry, it is a class. Yeah, class mathematics. Now, it can have different methods, right? Mathematics can have addition, subtraction, multiplication, whatever. So there is a method, public void add. What this does is that it accepts two integers, a, int, b, calculates the sum of that, uh, and prints it. All good? Now, this class is also having a main method from which we'll be calling this method. So, say public static void main string args. Over here, what we are doing is that I'll create an object of this class. Mathematics OB is equal to new mathematics. This will create an object of this class. Now I can do ob.sum 2 and 3. Let's see what do we get. Okay, let's see what is the error. Oh, sorry, it's add. My bad, sorry. Okay, still there is one error. Cannot find the symbol system. Okay, why? Oh, all right. It printed 5, right? Now consider when you are doing this add operation, it's not necessary that you will always have to add two numbers, right? There can be situation that you would want to add three numbers, right? But if I pass three numbers over here, will it work? What do you think? Will it work? If instead of passing two numbers over here, if I pass three numbers, will it work? No, right? It won't work. Because remember, I was telling you when I was talking about in the last class about functions, I was telling you the number of arguments that you're sending from here should be the number of arguments which are being accepted over here, right? So it will not work. So what we could do is that we could create another method, public void add with the same name, but with different parameter. So say it is for finding sum of three numbers, a, b. Now what will happen? Ints is equal to a plus b plus c. Let me also print one more thing over here, system dot out dot println. I am in, let me call it two sum, which means that it is summing two numbers. And over here, I'll call, mm, or I am in sum of two numbers, semicolon. And over here, for this, I will write I am in sum of three numbers. Okay. Now over here I do ob dot add 3, 4, 5. So see, when two arguments were passed, it executed the first method, and when three arguments were passed, it executed the second method, right? So this thing that we did over here, right? This is called as method overloading. This is how polymorphism happens at compile time. So it is the same thing which we are doing. We are calling the add method, right? But we are calling it with in different ways. First, we are calling it with two arguments, then we are calling it with three argument. So this resolution which happens, right, that for this which method is going to be called, for this which method is going to be called, this happens at compile time, okay? And that is why it's called compile time polymorphism. So what is overloading? Method overloading is nothing but it is having more than one method having same name but different parameters. Okay, this is what is method overloading. And via method overloading, compile time polymorphism is achieved. Clear? Now there is another type of polymorphism which is called runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism. So runtime polymorphism is achieved via method overriding. Do not get confused. The terms are very similar, but they are totally different. Okay. This is method overloading. Compile time is done via method overloading. Runtime is done via method overriding. So let's try to understand this. What is method overriding? Method overriding comes into the picture only in the case of inheritance. Okay. If there is no inheritance, method overriding will not come into the picture. What is method overriding? So say there is a class parent, okay, and this parent class is having a method, and let's say the method is void method, okay. And something is happening. Now there is this child class. Why did I write this? There is another class which is child class. It is also having void method, okay. Now consider there is a, so see, what you can do is that the child is over here is extending parent. Now there is a third class, okay, say the main class. There's a third class, say main, And inside this main class, you have your main method, public static void main. Okay. Now consider that from this main method, you call this method. Okay. Or you just call method. Which method will be called? The method from the parent class or the method from the child class? Which method is going to be called? Or not even from the main method. Let's not consider this, and let's not get confused. Consider that, think of like any main method, okay, be it inside child class only. If I call this method, which method is going to be called? Is it the parent method or is it the child method? What do you think? Okay. So the thing is, the reality is that we can not definitely say that which method is going to be called. Okay, this is what is runtime polymorphism. So what happens is that you need to call methods via objects, right? So whichever class's object is being used to call this method, that class's method is going to be called. Making sense? Whichever class's object is being used to call this method, that class's object is like that class's method will be called. So object creation and everything, all of this happens during runtime. So only at runtime you will know that which object got created. So which means only at runtime will this be resolved that which method is going to be called, one or two, right? That is why this is called runtime. Like via this we do runtime polymorphism. This concept is called overriding. So what is overriding? Overriding is nothing but parent and child, parent and child class having same method. So when I say same method, the declaration of the method should be same, right? When we were talking about overloading, then there was a difference in the number of parameter or even the type of parameter. Okay, there can be difference in the type of parameter also. So one method can say accept two integer and another method can say accept one integer and one string or one integer, one character, whatever. But when it comes to overriding, there are two things. So in overriding, first there has to be a parent child relationship. Both parent and child should have the same method declaration. Okay, return type, name of the method, parameter number, parameter type, all of them should be same. Clear? Got it? Okay, thanks for confirming. So compile time polymorphism is nothing but, when which method needs to be called is resolved at the compile time, okay, which is achieved through method overloading. And runtime polymorphism is like which method is going to be called or which method needs to be binded is resolved dynamically at the runtime rather than at compile time. And this is achieved via method overriding. Okay, all right. The last OOP concept that we have to cover is encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation is nothing but binding data members. Data members means the properties that you have in a class, okay? And methods, member methods, the functions that you have in a class in a single unit. We bind it. So, for example, how do you perform encapsulation? Or let me give you a real life example. Have you guys seen capsule, like the medicines that you have? So this is how a capsule looks, right? This is how a capsule looks. And inside that capsule there are small like these baby little balls, right? So what happens over here is that these all these small balls are encapsulated in this capsule, right? You have got a capsule and all these balls are encapsulated together. They are put inside this capsule, right? Similarly, in case of Java programming also, or in case of object oriented programming also, we encapsulate the data members, which is the properties, and the methods, okay, which is the functions in a class, into a one single unit. Like we enclose it into a one single unit, all right? Mostly for the security reason, so that anybody from outside the class cannot access those methods or cannot access the data members. Got it? Clear? And how is encapsulation done in Java? Encapsulation is done via class. So if I create so if you see, I created this mathematics class, okay? So isn't, and say that over here I have got a data member, int number, okay, number is equal to 5. So isn't this data member and member function binded in one single unit? All of this comes under my class mathematics, right? All of this is binded in one single unit. This is one example of encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation is not just this, not just putting things in class. Anyway, you put everything in class, there is more to it. Okay, so encapsulation is mostly used for security reasons. So when it comes to a class, how we achieve proper encapsulation is that in a class, so a class majorly has two important things, okay, data members, which are the properties of the class, and member functions. Okay, member functions are the methods that you have in a class. Data members and member function. So when you have to achieve encapsulation, what you do is that you make the data members private. Okay, you make the data members private by giving private access modifier. Remember we spoke about access modifier in the first class with on Java, like when I was teaching you the first class, like my first class with you on Java. What does private access modifier mean? What does it do? Anybody in the chat, what does private access modifier do? Exactly, very good, Abhinav. So, private access, so whenever you make a method or a data member, whatever, private, okay, so it can be accessed only within that class in which it has been defined or which is it has been declared, okay, it cannot be accessed outside that class. So, for proper encapsulation, what we do is that inside, so we create a class and then the data members that we have, we make it private, okay. So, for example, I'm removing this. Okay. This is a mathematics class. I create a private data member, which is private int number. So what can happen with this is because I've created it private, can I say that no other object from outside this class can access this? No other object from outside will be able to access this number. Okay. But consider that from outside the class, you want to change this. So how do you change it? So that is how where encapsulation comes into the picture. So encapsulation is achieved by declaring the variables as private and providing public setter and getter methods to modify and view the variables. Okay. So what happens in encapsulation is that we create a variable as private and then we will have public methods using which the value of variable can be changed. Okay, so maybe I can have a public void or public, yeah, let's say void or int maybe. Okay, public int get number. Okay, this is the method, and if somebody from outside the class wants to access my number, okay, this is return number. Okay, so if somebody from outside the class, by somebody I mean some other object which does not belong to the class, If the other object wants to access this data member, the number, the other object won't be able to do it, right? Can I do it? Say, I have a, let me show it to you, okay? I'm creating a class main. Inside this main class, let me remove main method from here, it will cause problem. Public static void main and args. Okay. Say I have something like this, okay? And what I try to do over here is that I try to access this number, okay? I'll do system dot out dot print ln, or okay, what I do is that inside this class I create object of this mathematics, okay, class. So I'll do mathematics ob is equal to new mathematics. Now if you remember the first example that we had discussed, in that first example I had said that if you create an object, the object will have all of this of the class, right? So object will have number also, and object will have this get number method also. All of you agree to it? The OB object that I've created in line number 13 will have the number property of the mathematics class and will also have the get number method. All of you are relating to it. You are understanding this. Why am I telling this line? All of you agree or you don't? Yes, no? Okay, let me repeat. What I am telling is that, see, in line number 13, I have created a object of mathematics class. Okay. Now, if you remember the first example that I had given you about creating objects. So remember I told you that the object will have all the properties and methods of the class, right? So technically, the object OB that I have created in line number 13, it should have the property which is number. Number is a property and get number is the method. So technically, it should have these two, right? So let me initialize it as well. Okay, I'm making it 5 over here. Now what I do over here, I try to print it system dot out dot print ln ob dot number. Let's see what do we get. Oh. So see, number has private access in mathematics, which means I cannot access this method outside the class. All of you getting it? This number, this property number that I created, it is of type private, so it cannot be accessed outside the class. So say like you're working in a company and somebody things like maybe information like salary. So only your manager can have that information or the HR can have that information, right? So you don't want that information to be public. So that information will be private, okay? That will be private on your company's portal. And whenever anybody is accessing it, they cannot access like this. They cannot write your name dot salary and they'll get your salary, right? That is not how it will happen. There should be a proper function, get number, and from there this person should be able to get the number, okay? So what we can do is that in this get number we can put some additional check, okay? Check if the person is authorized to see it, okay, to see the salary. In this method we can do the check, and if this is successful then we can return the number, okay? So what encapsulation means is that you make the data members private and you have public methods to get and set the value, okay? And in those methods you can check, right? If you're not having a method, you're allowing anybody to get your number or like get your variable or set something to your variable, that is a very risky thing in your code, right? But if everybody have to go through a method, okay, think that everybody have to go through authorization process, then it is much safe. Are you guys getting this? Okay, so in this case what I can do is that I can do ob dot get number. I guess this should work. Let's just run it. Yeah, so we got 5, right? So this is how I can get that number, but I can directly, I cannot get it. Okay, so what is encapsulation? How is encapsulation achieved? Encapsulation is nothing but putting data members and member methods in one single unit, which is called class. How is it achieved? We make the variables and private, and we make public setter and getter method. This is a getter method. Okay, what is a getter method? Let me write over here. So how is encapsulation done? Private variable, public setter method. I'll talk about setter and getter just in a minute. So what is a getter method? Any method that returns the value, okay, using which you can get a value, that is called a getter, getter. And any method using which you can set a value, that is called setter. Got it? So if I wanted to, set some value to it, I can do something like this: public int set number. I can have a method, okay, and say that it accepts a num. What I can do is that this refers to the current object. Okay, I believe this would have been covered in uh, the class OP class that you would have had with JavaScript. But is equal to num. Okay. Now what I want to do is that say I'm going to print the method, then I'm going to set it. Okay. So I will say ob dot set number, and I'll pass the number that needs to be set. Okay. Suppose I want to set 6 in it. Over here I'm not writing the code, but over here we do all the checking, right? Like if whoever is calling this method is authorized to do or not, instead of directly letting them set this. And how are they not able to set this directly? Because we have made it private. So this number is not accessible outside the class. Now if I do the same thing, so you will see that the number has been set. Now a value has been added to the number. So let's see. First you'll see 5, and then you will see 6. Okay, okay. Missing return. Okay, okay. No. I can make it void. I don't want to return anything. So it printed on the same line, but it is 5 and 6. Got it? Chandni, for authorization, there are libraries using which you can authorize. So from the session, okay. So if we talk about a web session, so in a session there are some cookies about the user which are stored, which is user information. So fetching that cookie, you can perform that authorization, whether the user is authorized to do or not, and all those things. Okay. I'm not sure if this will make sense to you right now. I'm not sure what all you guys have covered already, but yeah, this is how we do generally. Everybody clear about encapsulation? Awesome. Great, guys, great. So, the last thing that is remaining is advantages of OOPS. Why don't you guys tell me the advantage? And I'll tell whether it is or not. Guess the advantage. Whatever we have discussed, okay, all the concepts that we have discovered for, like we have discussed for OOP, what do you think are some of the advantages? Very good. Security. Yes, time and energy saving, accessibility. Good, good job. Good, very, very good. Okay. So mentioning some of, so the main thing is that security via encapsulation, right? There is reusability. How? Via inheritance. So consider something has already been written in the parent class, so you don't have to write it again, right? You can just inherit that class and the child class will have all the properties, right? So there is reusability. Using object oriented programming language, the code is divided into several objects, right? There is separation of concern. So it is easy to maintain, right? Easy to maintain. So because there is separation of concern, we can also say that it is easy to debug, right? Easy to debug if there is a bug has come. So it's very easily you can debug, okay? You can find that where is the bug, okay? And of course design benefits are definitely there. All right, so what will happen is that the like when you do it via oop, okay, all your classes and objects and everything is very well structured. So it is very the design is very robust. And going forward, whenever you have to do any change to it, whenever you want to add something, delete something, that becomes very easy, okay? These are some of the advantages. And let me just quickly talk about disadvantages as well. So talking about disadvantage, so one thing is definitely there that you have to do some effort, right? Some effort is required. So for example, compare it with JavaScript. You could have performed your entire thing whatever you wanted to do without even creating a class, right? Creation of class was not even mandatory in JavaScript. But over here you need to create a class, okay? There is proper way to do everything. So that requires some effort. Of course the return of the effort is huge, but it requires some effort. Then because you have to do some effort, so the speed is, object oriented programming languages like Java, it is also slow, okay? Not because of object oriented programming language Java is slow because of its own reason, but again because you have to do these effort, so the speed becomes slow. And the size, okay, size is a concern. In object oriented programming languages, the code that you write to do one thing is much bigger than you would have written in any non object oriented programming languages, okay, which would have worked without non object oriented programming concepts. So, yeah, this is what I had to share. A quick recap of whatever we did. So, we started with object oriented programming in Java. We understood about classes, objects, okay? How are they related to each other? What do they do? Then we spoke about OOP concepts like abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation. Abstraction is nothing but showing what is required and hiding the unnecessary detail. Polymorphism is one that there is one thing that needs to be done, but there are several ways using which you can do that. Then there is inheritance. That inheritance is nothing but that properties and methods are copied or can be reused from parent to child. And encapsulation is nothing but wrapping of data members and member function in a one unit, which is called class. Then we saw advantages of OOP, and then we also saw disadvantages of OOP. So we have covered everything which was there in our agenda. Any question from anybody over here? Anything that you would want me to explain? Or anything which is not clear, which you would want me to repeat? Anything at all? Mm, okay. Abhinav, abstraction, yeah. So, like I was telling, abstraction is nothing but you're showing what is required and you're hiding which is not required, okay? And how we do abstraction? So, we do it via abstract methods. What are abstract methods? Methods in which you have declaration but you do not have definition. So, the body of the method is empty, right? And in a class, if there is even one abstract method, the entire class becomes abstract. And why do we have abstract method? Because we are telling that this class can do these things, but we don't know how this class will do. So whichever class is extending this, okay, whichever class is inheriting this class, that class will be doing the implementation of the method. This is what is abstraction. Now is it clear? Okay. Any other thing, anybody? Any other questions? All right. It seems things are clear then. Okay. This is what I had for this session. In tomorrow's session, we are going to talk about 1D array. It'll be good if you could revise the array that you had done for JavaScript. So the concept is similar, but yeah. So yeah, that's what we are going to do tomorrow. And yeah, this is what I had to share. Good night, all of you. And over to you, Ritik.
Okay, thank you, Soumya. Okay, also thank you for the great explanation. I don't see any doubts in the chat, so that's a very very good thing for me. Okay. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you.
Probably the students are also very smart. Okay. Hello everyone. Okay, so I'll be quickly going through the assignment. So assignment, what I see is comparatively very easy. So the assignment that I'm going to discuss today is on functions. So let me just quickly share my screen. Yeah, I guess it should be visible now. Okay, so before I proceed to the assignment, right? Before I proceed to the discussion uh, of this assignment, so I guess you would have already done the functions concept, right? So there is like one thing that I want to ask all of you. Are you guys familiar with set interval and clear interval? Do you have doubts on this one, or are you guys clear on this part? Clear? No doubts? No one has doubts. Everyone is clear on this. Okay, then my work becomes even more easier. Okay, so all the assignment questions are on this, right? So I'll quickly go through it. In case you want the solution, we'll try to code it out. But I think if you understand, say like set interval and clear interval, so we should be pretty much able to do it orally as well. Okay, so the first question is create a JavaScript function called countdown that accepts a number argument and starts a countdown up till the numeric value has become zero, right? And on becoming zero, we should print done. Okay, sounds very easy. So what the question says, we have a function named countdown which takes an integer. We should print something like this: 3, 2, 1, and then finally once it becomes zero, we should print done. That's it. How should we print this? We should print this every second, right? So yeah, we should, like, we can go down, like we can start decreasing the count value, and then we can print like done, right, once we reach to zero, right? So okay, so can you see some solution? Do you like have do anyone like, does anyone have doubts on this? किसी को doubt है इसके ऊपर, or is it clear to everyone? Yes, this is ask it function. Yes. ठीक है. Okay. So can you see using set interval? So let's do this one, right? Let's solve this one. So what we have to do, we have to write a function. Okay. That says, let's name is countdown. Yes. Simple. What we have to take is, in this function, we can take a number. Right. Simple. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to we have to decrease this number, right? And we have to print it. So let's say we are getting the number 4, so we have to decrease it and we have to print it. Right, so and we have to print it until we go down to 0, and once we reach 0 we can print 0, right? Okay. uh, okay. So let's say we got this number. Now what we can do is we can create an interval using set interval, right? So we can create an interval. Okay. What we want to do in this interval, so what does an interval take? Interval takes a function, right? Interval has two arguments. One argument is a function. You can pass it without giving any names, that's fine, or you can use the arrow function as well, right? Next is, what is the time at which you want to reduce this? So you want to reduce it at every 1 second, so we can pass it 1000 because the time that it takes is in milliseconds, right? So two things, we use set interval. Firstly, we called a function. Okay, what is the function doing? Function will run every time this interval is hit, right? So it will run on the first second, second, third second, and so on, right? This time is in milliseconds, so that's why we are passing it as 1000. What we want to do, every time we want to decrease this number, right? And then we want to check, right, if it has become zero, right? If the number has become zero, then we can simply say, okay, let's print this, right? We can simply say, let's conclude this interval and let's print this. So we can say console.log done. Okay, and if we are not at zero, then we can say, you know what, let's print the number whatever is present in num. So we can say console.log whatever is the num value. Okay, there's one small piece that is missing. Can you point out what is the thing that is missing over here? What will happen? If is this solution correct, or do you see any problems? यहाँ पे solution correct है. Do you see any problems? Am I missing something? Can you point that out? So what will happen if number becomes zero? We print done. Okay, what will happen after that? Will the interval stop or it will keep on running? No one? Pucho, what will happen? So what does set interval do? Set interval just runs it, right? Every time this is hitting. When will set interval stop? Set interval कब stop होता है? How can you stop a set interval? Set interval को कब stop करना है? How can you stop it? This will do it for zero. It will print done. Then it will go to -1. It will print -1. Then -2 and so on. It will not stop at done, right? And I want it to stop at done. How can I do that? Yes, call clear interval. That's the solution. So you have to call clear interval. How do we call clear interval? We pass whatever is to the clear interval. So let's call it as counter. Okay, let's name this interval as counter. And where we can pass? We can pass it here, clear interval, and we can pass this counter. Simple. So what we did, we firstly created this function. We firstly created this set interval which takes two arguments. One is the function which will do the work, and second is the time interval which will tell at how, what is the frequency or कितने बार run करना है, what is the like duration after which it should run again and again and again. Okay, so okay, so our interval was 1 second, so we put it as 1000. Our function name was, so we did not give any name to the function. What was the work that function is doing? Firstly, it is decreasing the number, and then if it is zero, we are printing done. If it is not zero, then we are printing the number, right? That was wanted, right? If we'll firstly decrease it, we'll print the number. If it becomes zero, we'll print that. So we did this, and then we realized, okay, it will not stop over here. We have to stop it. How do we stop it? We can use clear interval to stop this. Okay, and this is the solution of this problem. Did you get this? Yes. Anyone doubts? No. Okay. Okay, so the next few questions, it will like it should strike automatically to all of you, right? What you have to do. So I'll come to this one. Okay, ठीक है. Think of this question. ठीक है, I'll go to this one. This one is also similar. See what we have to do. We have to create a function which is called as random game. ठीक, what does this function do? This selects a number between 0 and 1 every 1000 milliseconds. So what is 1000 milliseconds? That interval that we have to pass, right? And each time that number is picked, we add 1 to the counter and we print it. We add 1 to the counter. Okay, we don't do anything, we just add it. And if the number is greater that we found out, so we have to like stop the timer and we have to print whatever is the counter. And if it is not, then we can continue. So what is the thing that we have to do? So we have to find out a random number. Okay, let me just write down its steps. Okay, we have to find out a random number, and once we find out a random number, there are two things. If the random number is greater than 0.45, so we print our counter, right? Okay, let me write this as this way. If the random number is greater than 0.45, okay, if random is greater than 0.45, we print our counter. If it is not, if random is less than or equal to, right, 0.45, then we say ki we can continue increasing our counter. Okay, so this is the if else part that you figured out, that you have to write in the function. And where you have to stop once you're like, if this is like, if it hits this, you print the counter and you clear the interval, similar to what we did just now. Can you all do this? What is the interval in the set interval? 1000 milliseconds. You just have to take a counter variable that you have to increase every time. Yes, no, doubts? Okay. In case you do not put doubts, I feel that either all of you understood or no one understood. Okay, so you'll have to say me. So I'll directly go to this solution. Okay, so it will save us some time. See, doing the same work, right? We have the interval. What we are doing, we are finding out a random number. We are increasing our counter. Okay, we are checking if the counter is greater than 0.45. We are clearing our interval and we are printing. Right? If it is less than, then we have already increased. Right? We can You can do this in the else part as well. Right? You can do it in the else part. Right? It has done it always. Okay, done. Okay, got it. Yes, no, and we are calling this function. Same solution as we just did. Clear? Everyone, no doubts? Okay. So let's move to the next one then. Okay, let's move to the next question, or the previous one. Yes. Okay, so these two are very easy questions. These are just tricky questions which are asked to you in the interviews, right? To test your knowledge of JavaScript. Okay. So what is this question telling? That you have to write a function where you can call three functions, right? So where you can call three functions. So how you can call like three functions in the single go? So you can call three functions in the single go if this first function calls returns a function. Okay. And then you can again call this if the second function also returns a function. So basically, your sum function will look something like this, where your sum function returns a function. Oh, okay. So let me just write a small definition for it. So how your sum function is going to look like? It's going to take a value. Okay. Okay. Now, what is sum function going to return so that you can call again? It should return a function so that you can call it again. What is the end goal? End goal can be anything. If you have to implement a JavaScript function like this, what you have to do is the first function is returning a function. Okay, so that we know for sure. So what we can do is we can take a function that this function is returning a function. Let's say it is taking the value y. Okay. So this sum of one is returning a function. Okay, so I created a function which it is returning. Now this function is also calling again, right? Whatever is the return value of sum of 1 2. I guess there was some disturbance. Okay, so yeah, okay, sorry. So what was the last thing that you heard of? I think there was something that got disconnected. Mm. So did you okay, so I was explaining this problem. So did you get these three functions? Did you hear till that part, or should I repeat that? Yes, no. Okay, so let me go quickly over it. Okay. So, okay, what is this telling us? This basically tells that this is not a single function. This function returns another function, sum of one. Sum of two again returns one more function, okay, which we are calling by passing three. Sum of three, like we don't know what it returns, right? We'll figure out what it returns. So I've just implemented that sum function returns a function. We have not given any name to it. It just takes a number. Let's call it as y. Sum of this two again returns a function which we don't know, like we have not given any name. We just take an argument as set. Okay. Now what we want to do, so we return the sum, right? So we can simply return the sum, that is x plus y plus z. Okay. So that is the sum of these three things that we want in return. Okay, that's it. This is the solution. So this was basically a function which is again returning a function. So in JavaScript, a functions can return functions. So that is what is used here. And how do we call them? So we can directly call them, or we can store them in a variable and call them, or however we like. So here the question is directly calling those functions. right? So now we can call it. So when I call sum of 1, so it calls this function which is returning again another function. So what I get in return of this, again another function. So if I call sum of 2, which calls this function. Now if I again call sum of 3, which will call this last function. Okay, clear? Doubts? No? Okay, so we can proceed to the last question. Okay, flattening an array. Okay, so this is one of the most asked question in interviews. Ki how do you create a single dimensional array from multiple arrays that you have? So you are given multiple arrays in JavaScript. They can be in the nested format, and you have to create a single array out of it. Right. So this is like a recursive call. Right. So what we do, so let's say we have an input, right? So what we want to do is we want to write a function that is, let's say we want to call this as flatten. Okay, this function takes an array. Okay, now for each array element, it can be a single number or it can be a function. So what we want to do is we want to create a final array, right? So let's call it as the result array or something. Okay, हमें एक result बनाना है. Okay, so let's call this as result. This is an empty array. Okay, now what we want to do over here is, in this particular thing, we want to firstly check if this ARR of I, oh sorry, so we want to run through all the elements in this particular array, that is this, right? This array, we want to go through each of these elements. How do we go? We can simply write a loop. Sorry, let I is equals to 0 till where it will go. It will go to ARR dot length, and then finally we can increase I, right? So this will go through each of the elements. Now there are two things. Either each element is a single array or it is a single value. Right? It is an array or it is a value. So if it is array, then we can do something. So we can use array dot is array to check that if it is an array or not. And if this current thing is an array, we want to do something. If it is not an array, if it is a single value, right? Then we are done. We can simply say this is our result, right? So we can simply say result dot push ARR of I. Okay. Now, so if it is a single value, we can push it into the result. Now, what will we do if it is a array, or it can be an array like which again is contains another array, something like this, right? So this array is an array which again contains one array inside it, right? So very problematic for us to figure out. So what we can do is we can let the function itself do this one, right? So we can simply call the flatten function again and pass this ARR of I, because this is again a array. It will call this, it will go through all the elements in the array. It will check if the nested things are arrays or it is a single value. If it is a single value, it will push it into the result. If it is a array, then it will again call the flatten function, right, which will take care of it. Simple, right? So a recursion solution would work over here. Got it? Clear? Doubts on anyone on the questions? No? Yes? Stop sharing. Okay. So I hope so it's clear. Yeah, I don't see it. Thank you for that confirmation. Okay. Thank you everyone. Thank you for attending the session. Happy Diwali, right? Enjoy your festive seasons, right? And keep learning. Okay. Thank you everyone. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care.